Hey everybody, it's Jennifer and Mary. We're here for our Get Booked program. Mary looks a little different this week.
Hey. I mean, let's shove over. I've been gone for a couple weeks, that's true, but don't replace me with the skeleton. What does that say about how you think of me?
Sure, you know.
Okay, so, hey Jen, what books are we talking about today on Get Booked?
Well, it's Halloween, almost. So we're talking Halloween, spooky, paranormal, mystery, thriller, all that jazz.
The gambit of things that make you creep and crawl.
Except for mine, because I don't really like that, so it's a little lighter than... But it's still good. It's still in the same realm.
True. Oh, we should have dressed up. Oh well, next year. Hey, what's your first book?
Alright, so back in the day, in my childhood, Fear Street was a big deal. It was Fear Street and Christopher Pike.
Oh yeah.
And they were awesome. And R.L. Stine popped back out with some more Fear Street for this generation, I guess. So this one is a cheerleader who doesn't want to kill the cheerleader, unless you're part of the heroes and then you save the cheerleader, save the world. But this is... A street can't be evil, can it? All the evil things happen on Fear Street.
Bum bum bum. Alright, so this one, we just got this in. I need to process it today. If you have kids that like Disney and the Haunted Mansion, this is the new Haunted Mansion comic that just came out. One of my favorite comic authors, Sina Grace, did this one. He just came off a long Marvel run, so it's kind of cool to see him over, well, I guess technically the Disney imprint is Marvel. Capitalism, everything is owned by everything. But this one's really cute. Sydney is the newest resident of the Haunted Mansion, which is a retirement home for ghosts. I'm already sold. And she's quickly put in charge of some mansion improvements, all while there's a resident bully ghost, Constance, who's making it as difficult as possible. What could go wrong? So this is a cute little book about hijinks. So if you have kids that are into Haunted Mansion, this is for the younger set, but I mean...
That sounds like my speed.
I would also read it because it's adorable and I love the Haunted Mansion. It's probably my favorite thing at Disney. What's your next one?
Alright, my next one is witches. So not spooky, but just magic gone wrong. So Rachel is 14 and she's really jealous because her sister has some witchy powers and she does not. So she's like, how can I make this work for me? So she decides that her sister needs to cast a spell to make Rachel popular in high school. And also a spell to stop their father's wedding. So, of course, things go terribly wrong because that's what happens when you're a teenage witch.
This sounds a lot like Teen Witch. Did you watch that?
I did not.
You didn't watch Teen Witch? Top that! Oh, you're not getting any of these jokes right now. So sad for you. You would love it. It's really bad. So my next one is a middle grade. It's kind of creepy. It's kind of like, so the Darkdeep by Ali Condie and Brendan Reichs. This is, I think there's 2 books so far. There might be a 3rd one coming out. I don't know. We have the first 2. This is like, what if you took the Goonies and Stranger Things and put them in a blender? So it's got alternating perspective between the first 2 kids, and they live over in Washington State, so it really does have that Goonies vibe. And they find this mysterious houseboat on an island that no one can ever get to, and they've just mysteriously found the secret passage to get there. And all this weird stuff keeps happening, and then, like, there's monsters, and of course there's a bully. There's always a bully. This one's a really good read. I really enjoyed it. It's funny, a little creepy, but also funny, which I think is good, because if you have a little humor in your horror, it's okay. You can sleep, mostly.
Breaks things up a bit.
A little bit.
Alright, my next book is based off the Clue mystery game, which I love.
We have so much of that now, too, because we have a graphic novel as well.
Yes, that is true. So this one is the first of a trilogy. The second book is coming, I want to say early next year. This is called In the Hall with the Knife, and I think I talked about this before, so I'm going to be real quick. There is a snowstorm, a boarding school in Maine. The snowstorm cuts everything off because you're in Maine, so you're, like, in the middle of nowhere. And it snowed, so, like, the people who didn't leave are now stuck in... They kind of end up together in this one dormitory, and someone dies in the hall with a knife, and everyone in that house has a reason to kill the person. I believe it's the principal. And so it's trying to figure out who killed the principal.
Cool. So I just read this one. I just talked about it on my podcast, The Book Jam, which you can listen to. We also promoted that one. This is a horror thriller. This book kept me up at night partly because I was a little creeped out, partly because I wanted to find out what was happening at the end of this book. I will say there's a trigger warning for child abuse in this book as well as sexual assault. So if those are things that you are not okay with, don't read this book. So what's the name of the kid? Lola. So Lola's dad is like this really famous horror director. She comes home to their New York penthouse, finds him like stabbed. He's not dead, but he's in critical condition. His personal assistant, who she hates, is like, well, I guess you have to go live with your estranged grandmother. And she was like, what? I have an estranged grandmother? I thought, like, because her mom left when she was like 5. So it's that whole thing of like, do I trust the memories of my 5-year-old self, like, or I just believe everything my dad told me, right? So she gets sent to this place called Harrow Lake. So the dad, who's the movie director, picked her mom from the Harrow Lake Village people to be the ingenue in his movie. This town also is weird because what's weirder than out-of-place stuff? Nobody looks like he came from the 1920s. Nothing has changed. There's no cell phones. Like, there's no technology. There's no microwaves in this town, right? Everything's stuck in 1920. Her suitcase goes missing, so she has to wear her old mom's clothes. It's like, the mom might be dead, might be missing. Nobody knows what happened to her. The grandmother starts calling her by her mother's name and forgets that it's her granddaughter she's talking to. And in town, there's this whole myth that Mr. Jitters will come get you in the night, so you shouldn't walk alone at night. It's super creepy. There's a tree where people tie their old teeth on there, so they're giving a piece of themselves to Mr. Jitters, so that way he won't come get you. And so yeah, it's super creepy. It's super great. I love it. I also love horror movies way more than Jen does, so this movie was right up my alley.
No.
Or not movie, this book. This book could totally be a movie. Netflix, please.
I talked about this one a little bit before too. A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Brigid Kemmerer. Brigid Kemmerer. I always pronounce that wrong. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is the first of the trilogy. The first 2 books are out. The 3rd book does come out next March, April.
Cross your fingers because pandemic.
Yeah, I think
Publishing is weird right now.
It is. So there is a monster, a beast, on the loose who is killing and leaving a path of destruction in the wake. Harper is in our times, and she gets sucked into this other world where there's the monster and the beast, and she kind of has to figure out the mystery surrounding Prince Ren.
It is quite the mystery. I have also read this book. It is very good. Alright, hey Jen, do you like Stranger Things?
No.
Okay, I love Stranger Things. Do you also like Stranger Things? We have the comics. We also have, I think in the YA collection, there are a couple of Stranger Things novels as well as the adult collection. But I think some of them are checked out because these are the only ones I could find. We also have some middle grade Stranger Things. We have Stranger Things books for the whole family, essentially, as far as age range goes, except for elementary because that would be terrible. So this is the continuing comic. So the first volume is what Will was doing when he was in the Upside Down, when everyone was looking for him. And then volume 2 gets into Dr. Brenner and what he was doing in the late 70s in his research that led to finding 11. So these are kind of like more like, you know, behind the scenes of Stranger Things that we didn't get to see. So those are pretty fun. What you got?
I like that. So back in, my next couple are older titles. So back about 10 years ago, paranormal in YA was huge. And I read a lot, and I devoured a lot. And like, werewolves, and monsters, and vampires. And so this is part of that. It is Hex Hall by Richelle Hawkins. It's the first of a trilogy. Obviously, all of them are out. Sophie discovered she was a witch 3 years ago. She concocted a love potion that went really, really wrong. And she's been sentenced to Hex Hall, which is a boarding school for magical beings who need a little extra guidance.
Is it like school for like the miscreants?
Yeah, kind of.
Is it like juvie for magic kids?
Kind of, a little bit. And attacks are happening, and is it the vampires? Are the necromancers bringing people up? Is it the witches? It's a whole thing. So, this was really fun. I liked it. And she has some quirky, odd roommates.
Cool. So my next one is called Black Magick. It is a comic by Greg Rucka and Nicholas Scott. Nicholas Scott's one of my favorite artists. Her Wonder Woman art is always awesome. But they did this really cool horror comic for Image And we have the first 2 volumes. They took a pause. It's being published again, so hopefully we'll have volume 3 in about 6 months or so. Rowan Black found a burned body, which she's supposed to find burned bodies and things that are horrible because she's a police detective. But Rowan Black has a secret. Rowan Black's also a witch. And so she gets her coven together because someone is trying to find them and suss them out and kill them. So it's part of it her being a police detective and trying to hide the coven, and the other part is like the coven and some people kind of coming to terms with past history. It's really good.
That sounds good. Do you want to go again?
Sure. So this one's new. I haven't had a chance to read it yet because once we got it, it flew off the shelf. So Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, who also does horror and fantastical reads, he did this new comic, and he has an imprint from DC that unfortunately just got shuttered. That the whole imprint is horror. We have gotten, I think, pretty much almost every single one of the collected works from the horror line. So the first one he did was called Basketful of Heads. June Branch is in trouble. She's trapped on Birdie Island from nowhere to run. Her boyfriend's been kidnapped. There's 4 bloodthirsty escaped convicts that will stop at nothing to find her. And all she has to defend herself is this strange Viking axe, but whenever she beheads someone, the heads don't die. They keep talking. So she has a basket full of heads. It's basically a bunch of horror tropes in a blender, and I am so here for it, my friends.
It's not creepy at all.
I know. It's okay.
Alright, I talked about this one before too. It's Vampire Academy. It's the first in a 10-book series, and then there's a spin-off. It's by Richelle Mead. And Lissa is a princess, and her best friend Rose is her guardian. And they're kind of on the run in the beginning of the book because there are strange things happening. So this, I can never say this right, this Gyrogi, which are like the bad vampires, are sort of coming for them, and Rose is trying to keep her really safe, but of course there's some people who betray them, and there's a whole bunch of different things that happen in this series, and it's really, really good. And there's a boarding school, and there's forbidden love, and it's just great. Lots of action, lots of danger.
I forgot to bring down a Junji Ito manga. So he does a bunch of horror. If you really want horror and you like manga, you can check those out. We have them all. So my next one, so if you watch the Bird Box movie, you could read the Bird Box book. Also, the reason why I'm showing this to you is because we have the second one that just came out, which is Malorie. So this is the continuation of the story, if you're a Bird Box fan, which I still need to watch. I hear it's terrifying.
Break My Heart 1,000 Times is by Daniel Waters, who is a Connecticut author, and he lives in this region. So since the event, E with capital E there, ghosts are everywhere, and they're now starting to gain power. Victoria learns that her high school teacher believes that if he kills a teenage girl on February 29th, his dead daughter can inherit the girl's body, and it will bring her back to him. And he believes that Victoria is just the person to kill in order to make this happen. So, she of course is trying to foil his plan and make it to March. This was made into a movie with Bella Thorne. The movie is called I Still See You.
Okay, so my next book kind of took the horror world by storm a couple of years when it came out. It's called The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. It's this, I can't even really talk about it too much because it will give away the ending, but it starts off with this kid, and she's playing in her front yard, and she lives at a cabin, and this guy just shows up, and he starts talking to her, which isn't creepy at all. Adults talking to children they don't know. And then 2 more people show up, and then they look at her and they say, what is about to happen isn't your fault. And it just takes off from there. This one will definitely give you nightmares and like not let you sleep. It's excellent.
You put it in the freezer like Joey from Friends.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting it in the freezer. I've done it. What's your last book?
My last book, it looks huge, but that's because it's 3 books in one. It's a bind-up of Sweep, which was also really big back in the day. Cate Tiernan. The first book is called The Book of Shadows, where this girl finds the Book of Shadows, becomes a witch. She has a lot of power that no one ever kind of thought she had. And she meets a boy, and of course things are good and bad and magical. But there was a lot of secrets that he's not telling her, and it was just really, I ate this like it was candy. I read it like it was candy. It was just really good. Very witchy, really fun books.
Is it like the YA version of Practical Magic?
I don't like Practical Magic, so I would say it's better than that.
Really?
There's like a lot more witch stuff in it than, well, I didn't read but I saw the movie and it was,
Oh, the book has like way more
I'm sure.
witchy stuff in it.
So I want to say there's like 13 books of this, and we have a bunch of the bind-ups, so.
Cool. If you're looking for any more like paranormal, witchy, or horrifying reads, just come talk to me and Jen. We have lots of them that didn't even make it to the show today.
That is true. I did another video for kids, so if you have elementary school kids, check that video out.
Awesome. Well, that's been Get Booked, and we'll see you next week. Who knows what we'll be talking about.